What's on your mind?
Your next three questions are what's on my mind. To your point, one of the things on my mind, and I think connected to everyone here, is truly the best way.
Is your mic on? Are we hearing Bob through the?
Mic number 2? All right.
Hold on. One of two things can happen. A,
Shut off too.
did you, I don't know, there's an on-off button.
I got a green light.
Or we could use this. Are you good?
You tell me. You said it was mic number 2. You got it? I see a thumbs up. Good. My Irish whisper will carry me anyway.
There it is. Outstanding.
Well, to your point, Shelley, the number one issue on my mind, particularly with this crowd, is what you just mentioned, and that is creating connectivity that makes sense and is robust enough for all of the great applications and tools and ways that people are using the network. It's paramount at Verizon, whether we think about it on the wireline side or on the wireless side.
The title of this talk I did sort of tongue-in-cheek, high fiber. How much bandwidth do you really need? Because I know the answer to that question, which is you can never have enough bandwidth no matter what, and even if you think you have enough today, you won't have enough tomorrow. Now, which is a half-fast answer. That was semi-funny. I like that campaign, by the way. It's become my new commercial. Like the one with the apps for Samsung, Is This the Line for the Apps, was my last favorite commercial, but half-fast internet is my new favorite commercial. But speaking of half-fast internet, what is the plan? Like, you're talking about building a network. I even want to understand this. You're talking about building a network for the next 50 years, possibly 100 years. I know the fiber, I shouldn't say I know, I think the fiber has the capacity. The wireless LTE, XLTE, humbly feels overburdened right now. I mean, when I first got my 4G iPad mini, I was in a car service on the FDR drive, setting it up to go up to Fox, and it took 2 seconds to set up. And I'm going, I think it was early in the morning, I was on like a 6:18 hit. It was probably 5:45 in the morning. We're going 45, 50 miles an hour up the FDR drive. I'm getting 30 megabits down and 20 up on my iPad mini regular LTE.
Right.
Not to beat up Verizon too badly, but I couldn't get that if I had, special dispensation from you on a 4G device today. It's really feeling like there's a lot of contention. So what's the future of this interesting mix of XLTE, LTE, Wi-Fi hotspots, wired, like, where do we go? How do you even think about building that network for me? Because every one of us is getting more and more connected.
Yeah, and the key point is to stay ahead. So even if you just go back the few years that you mentioned, and as we introduced and got robust with LTE, the capacity was fantastic. I would argue that it still is today. I think Shelley and team, the way people will use their data networks, whether they are at home or in a Wi-Fi spot or an LTE, will differ, but it will meet the requirements of the customers. The LTE network today, in just the last handful of years, is now handling 80% of the data that our wireless team transmits. So it really has become a much more efficient model than 3G. And again, the point there is to stay ahead, don't overinvest, but stay ahead of what demand will be. And that will mean that you'll still be in that 10 to 20 meg range, and there'll be some ups and downs. But what you need to do, whether you're sharing files or sharing video or watching videos, you'll always have that healthy 3 to 5 meg stream. So anything above that is really kind of buffer from a typical application. We believe, and I'm happy about this based on where I work in the business, that the Fios network and the fiber network, though, is really the place where the broadest applications, the bigger data consumption, the all-in family consumption of whether it's with data or with video or speaking to each other, is still centered around the home. So the good news here is, while there's still an explosion of data usage, and this has become a topic where, in my mind, I was thinking about this because I knew we'd go there, Shelley, where I'm shocked at the usage patterns, but I'm no longer surprised. And I didn't know if that could happen. I'm shocked at what we continue to see. 50% increase in usage year over year. So it's shocking, but it's not surprising because now that we've seen that for 2 or 3 years, we know what we have to do to stay ahead, whether you're on the FDR or whether you're on the Taconic or whether you're in the middle of Kansas. So we'll stay focused on that. And the other way that I think of the network is, particularly the fiber network, we have to stay in sync with between the capacity of the backbone, the capacity of the last mile, and the capacity within the home. We don't need and we can't afford to have any weak links in that ecosystem. So you'll hear about different organizations and different companies focusing on certain areas of that ecosystem. My goal, our goal, is to make sure that from end to end we're bulletproof. And that's why we did have a little fun with those who are half fast versus full fast, and we're offering symmetrical speed. We're announcing in the next week or so the full-blown go-to-market of our new Fios Gateway router. We have it in test in the Mid-Atlantic states in a few areas today, but that will take the fiber optic network and now link it with a very smart, very intelligent device in the home that will handle up to 800 megabits of downstream data, dual radio processes, parental controls on a router. So if you want your kid to be upstairs doing homework and not online, it'd be just like the controls you have on your TV where you can control who uses the data network. We think a guest password at the home, given the issues around security, is far more important than you giving friends and neighbors your own password to the router. So we're going to section that off. The idea is we believe to make sure the data doesn't become a dumb pipe, don't let it become a dumb pipe. So that'll be a big shift that we're going to bring to the marketplace between now and the end of the year, where customers see not only a robust data network, but a very intelligent one that the customers will control, not Verizon.
What are we calling this new router?
It's our Quantum. We love the word Quantum in case you didn't notice. It's our Quantum Gateway router.
So the Quantum Gateway router, sometime in the next week, is going to appear on the marketplace?
It'll be robust by the end of the month. We're already in trial in the Mid-Atlantic area. We're selling about 500 a day where we target it. So we really like this a lot, and the customer feedback on it is very important.
So let's talk about the concept of a gateway for a second. There's a lot to like about it, right? You'll have any device will be available that you have. You'll be able to use Fios, basically menu-driven, right? So you're not going to really know the difference between your wired television, your wireless tablet, your mobile device. There'll be some level of authentication,
It
obviously.
will be still authenticated.
You'll have access to every device in the connected home through the Quantum router, of course.
Correct.
My question to you is, at what point, and you can I don't need to put you on the spot, but so at some point I leave the perimeter of my Wi-Fi cloud, my home Wi-Fi environment, and I'm authenticated to Fios. Is this your extension of TV everywhere, the concept, not the product? And when do I get to stay inside of my Fios environment to watch outside of my home area? Do I transfer over to LTE? Does it see my router? Am I now seamlessly connected to everything, no matter where I am in a Verizon
It
cloud?
will, and in the router, again, it's not the sexiest device in the world, but in terms
I don't know, Bob. I'm
in
kind of excited
networking, it
about
actually is. So today, for example, if you're in your Fios home, we know you are, and we have that authentication through the router, and that presents to you about 145 of our Fios channels on your iPad. As soon as you leave your home, depending on where we have rights or where we've created the capacity, you will shift on LTE to still 65 stations out of the home. That's a terribly kept secret within the Fios area, that we're literally 65 channels outside the home. And the good news is we're not being sued by anybody for doing that. Our approach to this...
You know, the day is young. There's a bunch of people in here who just, their ears kind of went, what? I didn't know
I
that.
think some folks, you could argue some folks were ahead of us on out-of-the-home content. Our belief was to negotiate that, do it, find it in a way that was beneficial to us and the content providers, and we're proud of the fact that that's the number of channels that we have outside the home, and you'll do that seamlessly, and that authentication will make it work.
So the ultimate wearable is my car, right? I'm wearing my car. I'm in my Verizon cloud. At a certain point, you guys are totally end-to-end with me as an audience or me as a human being. What kind of responsibility, in 60 seconds or less, what kind of responsibility does that throw onto Verizon?
It's interesting. The previous panel touched upon and then went a little bit deeply into the customer service aspect. I'd flip the question to not just a responsibility in terms of what's at risk, but what's the opportunity. So I was in Valhalla literally 2 days ago, just about 30 miles north of here. We're recreating the desktop for our customer service agents. So when we talk about service and knowing what customers are doing and what their needs are, let me give you an example, because I think it takes us from 10,000 feet to the desktop. And what we want to do is break out of the service category. I'm proud of what we've accomplished from a third-party standpoint with PC Magazine, JD Power, Consumer Reports, but it's still within a category of ISP and TV provider that, you know, it's a little bit being the smart kid in the dumb row. So what we are doing, and I saw this in action on a phone call that came in from a customer where we represented data. So we have the responsibility to protect privacy, but a customer had called in to save a few dollars on their Fios bill. The screen that presented itself based on brand new technology that we put to the representative is, we knew the TV package the customer had, but we also knew the top 20 stations they were viewing and by how much, so that we wouldn't put them in the wrong TV bundle and have them call in because they didn't have the channel. We knew the router had X amount of devices connected to it, whether a low, heavy, or medium user. And we also knew and could see, hey, on certain days or weekends, are you experiencing this peak occurrence when your kids are home and they're all loading up? The rep was able to, without getting creepy in privacy, speak to and find the requirements. So we saw one of the set-top boxes in the home was not being used a lot. Hey, maybe you don't need that anymore. We don't want to take money that's a waste to you. We see low usage on your set-top box. The customer's reply was, oh no, that box is in my exercise room. So it's not being used a lot because I don't exercise enough, but when I do, I want to watch TV. Let's keep that. We went somewhere else to find a way to right-size that account. We did. That customer left thrilled. It was the responsibility issue, Shelley, was finding and using enough of the customer information that the customer felt that we had a relationship with them, because we do, but we weren't creepy and too intrusive. And I'll tell you, that customer really left that call saying, this is a big company, but they know something about me, and I hope that we retain that customer for a long time.
Wow, that is outstanding. What a great way to sum up a day. So Bob, I want to thank you. If you have questions for Verizon, Bob is here. If you're worried about your phone bill, if you feel like you are being overcharged in some way by Verizon, he's just got a target on his back, says, I work for Verizon. He's really high up the food chain. So
I'm actually not Bob Mudge, I'm a fill-in.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bob Mudge, give him a big hand.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Good to see you. Okay, thanks a lot.